More news has come out about Overwatch PvE and everything that the Overwatch team has been doing over the past 3 to 4 years. And I'm not gonna lie, it makes me pretty pissed. So if you're not ready for a rather brutal rant, you might want to click off. But if you're still here, smash that like and subscribe and let's get into it. So there was an interview on stream with one of the developers right now working on Overwatch, and he gave us some information about what is to be expected coming soon for more PvE Season 7, Season 8 stuff, and the future of Overwatch and Overwatch side missions. Remember, this is coming after the heels of the talent trees being canceled. A lot of the stuff that we thought we were going to be getting in the PvE got canceled, and that just kind of blew up, and everyone was pissed out about that. And then it kind of led into, no, we're getting story missions, but they're going to be things that you have to buy seasonally. You're going to have to keep buying the story missions over and over again. And then people were pissed off about that because they're just something that you had to just keep repurchasing instead of like a big overarching story mode that you buy one time. It's the gift that keeps on giving, the thing you got to keep buying over and over and over again. So people were understandably kind of pissed off about that. And more than anything, even more than the cost, I think it's like the vision of, instead of there being like a grand plan or really a grand product that has like infinite replayability, it's just these little story missions that are probably going to be good, but you have to keep buying them every freaking season or whatever the case may be. And it just feels like another draw into this live service nonsense that like most of us hate about gaming right now, where everything feels like it's behind a paywall and you're just kind of being stretched for your dollar most of the time. Now this leads me into what was said in the developer interview, and here I'll play the clip and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
Don't expect the next round, in the next season or the season after that or anything like that. But it is very much like trying to find that balance between getting them in front of players quickly, because we love story stuff, and giving ourselves enough time to actually like make changes or add features or do whatever.
Now this seems to imply that there will not be another batch of story missions in Season 7 or 8, and that a 2024 release will be when the next story missions come out after the story missions drop in Season 6, and they want to be able to incorporate feedback from Invasion to change or add new features, which on paper sounds cool, right? You're like, hey, they want to make sure that people like it, and if there's any problems they can change it or whatever. But then it really makes you wonder. They canceled talent trees, they really kind of stripped a huge part of what the PvE was going to be, and now they're telling us that they only really have one mission. They only have one mission really fully ready to ship. It's not like they're sitting on mission after mission. It's not like they're sitting on like a fat stack of content. They're sitting on very little. They have very little. So this leads me to wonder, where the hell did those 3 to 4 years go? Where did that time go? I have no idea. Because when I hear this news and I look at what was being offered and I look at the shift between Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2, it doesn't really feel like the time was spent at all. Like, this is like 1 year of content or less. I have no idea how the small indie company known as Blizzard was able to do this little with this time. I know that might be overly critical, and maybe it's not entirely fair to just the developers. I know that there's a lot of things behind the scenes. I'm not trying to lay blame on anyone in particular, but being trickled this news and kind of listening to all the things that have been happening with Overwatch, most of it I haven't cared about all that much. I was pretty peeved that the overall community perception was pretty negative. And I do think every bit of changes they have done nothing but hurt Overwatch, and this game could have been, a much bigger and better game. I think we all know that. But I did think that actually focusing on PvP is the right call. I also think that as a whole, I think if they deliver on the PvE that they said that they were going to, it could actually end up being okay in the long term for Overwatch. At least it's a game that isn't being abandoned completely like it was, 3 years ago. But looking at all of this news, it is kind of like the cherry on top, or the thing that I just don't understand. Like, I have no idea what the thought process was when transitioning and stopping development on Overwatch 1, transitioning to Overwatch 2, creating all this stuff, and then seemingly scrapping most of what was being worked on for a different dream and starting anew. That's kind of what it seems like. It's like they took all this time to work on something that never really came to fruition. Like, all their time and effort was spent on something that is just completely in the dumpster. It's scrapped. It's moved on from. And this is really, really frustrating, because I just want you to imagine if they never even decided to do PvE. How many freaking more characters do we have right now? Like maybe 6 or even more? I think the game would actually be stocked with a lot more content today, and really probably more content in the long run as well, if they just would have never focused on PvE at all, if it was going to turn into this. I think that as someone that is not even that interested in PvE, how it was originally pitched got everyone on board, right? Even if you were a PvP player, doesn't matter. This is a sick-ass story mission with talent trees and all this crazy stuff. Everyone was bought on board, and it's like, you know what? I get it. I get kind of slowing down development. I get taking a game that we all play and we all like and focusing on something else. But not only do we find that the dream is just kind of shaved away, it's like a shell of what it was promised, which we've already talked about, everyone's already talked about extensively, but now we see that they don't even have a huge stockpile of content at all. It's something that they're working on now. Like, they're gonna take in data and incorporate changes or add new things or create things now. And it just seems pretty absurd to me, to be honest. And I honestly think that it would have been a better world if we never would have even thought of PvE in the first place. I think Blizzard has kind of dragged this dream to hell and back with it. And I do understand that a lot of you are super excited about PvE, and I'm still gonna play the PvE. I'm super interested in the lore, but yeah, this was definitely not worth everything that we had to give up for what is ultimately, I don't know, it feels like a gap year. It literally feels like Overwatch had development and just paused. They're just like, oh, we're just gonna stick a pin in it and we'll resume in 3 years. That's kind of what it feels like. Am I off base here? Definitely let me know how you feel about this news. Are you happy, sad, pissed? Definitely let me know in the comments down below. But thank you so much for coming by. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.